The moment I stepped into the apartment, I knew I'd made a mistake. There he was, Ethan, my new landlord, with a bandaged head and a glare that could freeze hell. You. I choked out, my heart racing. You're that creep from the park. He sneered, stepping closer. Oh, it's you, the one who cracked my skull with a flashlight. I backed up, clutching my suitcase. I thought you were stalking that girl. Wrong. He spat. She's my sister. My stomach dropped. Before I could apologize, he added, and now you owe me 26,000. What? Your cat ruined my shoes and hurt my hamster. I froze. This wasn't just a mistake, it was a disaster. And the worst part, he was kind of hot. The sun dipped behind the western hills, casting a soft, golden glow over the landscape. In the fading light, a slender figure approached, dragging a suitcase behind her. Sophia Green hurried forward, her breath coming in short gasps, a thin layer of sweat glistening on her forehead. She had found the rental listing online just yesterday, remote, but perfect for her nearly empty wallet. Excuse me, is this place for rent? Sophia called out as she reached the door, her voice tinged with urgency. The door creaked open just a crack, revealing a slender hand holding a bright QR code. A cold, tired voice echoed from inside. Scan first if you want to rent. The voice was eerily familiar. Without thinking, Sophia pushed the door open wider and froze. Standing there was a guy with a thick bandage wrapped around his head. Her eyes widened in recognition, and she instinctively stepped back, clutching her chest. You're that creep. Ethan Harper glared at her, his jaw tight and fists clenched at his sides. Oh, it's you, he spat, pointing to his bandaged head. You're the one who cracked me over the skull. Sophia's lips twitched as she took another step back, giving him a thumbs up. Wow, you're really committed to being a scumbag. Ha, stalking me all the way to my potential rental. Ethan's face flushed with anger. He stepped forward, one foot still inside the threshold, and snapped. Are you out of your... Before he could finish, there was a loud thud, followed by a piercing yelp. Ethan was sprawled on the ground, face in the dirt, his bandaged forehead now scraped and bleeding. Sophia stood over him, one knee pressed into his back, her free hand gripping his wrist tightly. Despite his height and strength, the guy couldn't budge. Let me go, you lunatic, Ethan growled, his voice muffled by the ground. Sure, Sophia said sweetly. There was a sharp crack as she released his arm, and Ethan winced, letting out a string of curses. Sophia's innocent face, soft features, wide eyes, and long lashes, made her look like she couldn't hurt a fly. Oops, she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. You told me to let go. Ethan glared up at her, hissing through the pain. You're insane. Just then, a young girl appeared, clutching her stomach as she laughed uncontrollably. Miss, you've got it all wrong, she managed between giggles. He's my brother, not some creep. Sophia's heart sank as she recognized the girl, the same one Ethan had been harassing earlier. Her stomach churned. Oh no, I messed up. She quickly stood, offering a hand to Ethan. I'm so sorry, she stammered, avoiding his eyes. I thought you were. Save it. Ethan snapped, swatting her hand away. You think a half-assed apology fixes this? Not a chance. Sophia bit her lip, unsure how to respond. Ethan's face was pale, his jaw clenched as he glanced at her suitcase. This isn't over, he said coldly, pulling out his phone. I'm calling the cops. Ethan, wait. Olivia rushed to his side, grabbing his arm. Come on. She saved me. Remember, if it weren't for her, Mom would have killed me for drinking. Ethan hesitated, his expression softening slightly. Olivia seized the moment, batting her eyelashes and pouting. Please, Ethan. Just this once. I'll owe you big time. He groaned, pinching the bridge of his nose. Fine. No cops. But that's it. Olivia beamed, then added, and you'll let her rent the place, right? Ethan's face fell. Are you kidding me? Sophia, sensing the tension, stepped forward and extended her hand. Hi, I'm Sophia Taylor, your new roommate. Ethan eyed her warily, then crossed his arms. Do you have any pets? Sophia blinked, caught off guard. No, just me. Good, he said curtly, stepping aside to let her in. No dogs or cats allowed. Sophia nodded, forcing a smile. Got it, just me and my suitcase. The early summer breeze in South City carried a hint of restlessness, but the words that cut through the air were icy cold. The soft glow of the evening light spilled into the room, blending with the crimson hues of the sunset, casting a warm halo around the young man. Despite the bandage on his forehead and his pale, almost sickly lips, he was undeniably handsome, so much so that Sophia couldn't help but stare. She stood there, momentarily frozen, her mind blank. Okay. She had to admit it, her new landlord was kind of hot. What? Eyes glued to my back now. Ethan's voice broke the silence, sharp and unexpected. He turned slowly, his gaze locking onto hers, caught off guard. Sophia's face flushed crimson. She stumbled over her words. I wasn't. Ethan shifted slightly, making room for her to pass. He leaned lazily against the doorframe, hands stuffed in his pockets, his expression unreadable. If you're not coming in, I'm closing the door. Sophia glanced outside. The orange glow of the sunset had melted into the night, and the streetlights flickered on. The cicadas buzzed loudly, adding to the evening's chaos. Ethan ran a hand through his already messy hair, making it look even more like a bird's nest. He frowned, clearly annoyed. This was supposed to be his nap time. Coming. Sophia grabbed her two large suitcases and hurried after him. Suddenly, Ethan stopped walking, and Sophia, not paying attention, crashed into his back. Her forehead throbbed. Ow. Sorry. I didn't mean to. That's the storage cabinet. Ethan interrupted, pointing to a peeling cabinet in the corner. He didn't even acknowledge her apology. Oh, okay, thanks, Sophia said quickly, her mind racing with compliments. Sure, her new landlord was a bit cold, but he was thoughtful and, let's be honest, ridiculously good-looking. She was already giving him full marks in her book, but her admiration was short-lived. That side's yours. This side's mine, Ethan said firmly, gesturing to the divided space. Don't cross the line. Same goes for everything else. If you mess it up, he added, his tone sharp. You're out. Got it, Sophia muttered, setting her luggage down and glancing around. The apartment was old, cluttered with books, mostly comics and novels. A thin layer of dust covered everything. After laying down the rules, Ethan opened the door to his bedroom and stepped inside, leaving only his head visible. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, his voice rough. Oh, and don't make noise while you're unpacking. Your room's across the hall. Before she could respond, the door slammed shut, and any goodwill Sophia had felt vanished. Her new landlord was, without a doubt, a total buzzkill. The loud bang made her ears ring, but Sophia ignored it. Instead, she pressed her ear against Ethan's door like a curious octopus. The wooden door didn't do much to muffle the sound of his steady breathing. Once she was sure he was asleep, Sophia slipped into her room. She set her backpack on the bed and unzipped it gently, revealing a fluffy head. Meow. Good boy. Lucky, Sophia whispered, smiling as she pulled a fish treat from her pocket. Here's your reward for staying hidden. The next morning, the soft light of dawn filtered through the window, casting scattered shadows on the floor. The vibrant colors of the azaleas outside added a touch of life to the otherwise dull room. But the peace was shattered when Ethan kicked open Sophia's door, his face stormy. Sophia, wake up. Care to explain this? He demanded. Sophia groggily emerged from her cocoon of blankets, looking like a hibernating bear. What's going on? She had stayed up late unpacking, and being woken up so early didn't sit well with her. What's your problem? You can't just barge into someone's room. Sure, the rent was cheap, but she wasn't freeloading. Ethan smirked, holding up his arm, where veins bulged with barely contained anger. Explain this. How did your cat get out? Sophia rubbed her eyes, finally noticing the furry ball in his hand. Her heart sank. Wait, let me explain. I didn't mean to explain. Ethan cut her off, his voice low and seething. Because of your cat. My Jack is in the emergency room. He stepped closer, his grip tightening on her chin, his eyes blazing. Tell me, what are you going to do about it? Sophia's stomach dropped. Oh no, her little furball had caused serious trouble. She scrambled out of bed, grabbing Lucky and glaring at him. You little troublemaker. First, you steal someone's fish. And now this. Apologize to Ethan right now. Her voice was loud, and the cat shrank back, burying its face in Sophia's shoulder, trembling. Now you're scared. Ha! Sophia scolded, her heart softening despite her frustration. She turned to Ethan, her expression apologetic. Ethan, I'll cover the vet bills, she said nervously, twisting the hem of her shirt. Can I see the patient? Ethan walked ahead without a word, ignoring Sophia completely. Unfazed, she trailed behind him like a determined shadow. After about half an hour, they reached their destination. Sophia's eyes widened as she read the sign above the door. Her face was a mix of shock, confusion, and disbelief. Ethan, why are we at a pet hospital? She asked, her voice rising in pitch. Ethan was already several steps ahead, and as he moved to enter, Sophia quickly blocked his path. She pointed at the sign, her expression incredulous. You didn't bring someone here for treatment, did you? Did I ever say it was a person? Ethan replied coolly, sidestepping her. What? Sophia blinked, not processing his words. Ethan paused, a smirk playing on his lips. Maybe you should get checked out here too. Sophia regretted stepping inside the moment she entered. Ah, what's that? A mouse, she shrieked, trembling as she backed into a corner. Her eyes were fixed on the small creature nibbling on an apple. Ethan, there's a mouse. Jack, come here, Ethan called softly. Crouching down and extending a hand, the little creature immediately abandoned the apple and scurried over. Good boy. Wait, this is Jack, Sophia asked, her voice high-pitched. She rubbed her ears, convinced she'd misheard. Jack is a mouse. Jack's not a mouse, Ethan corrected, his tone sharp. He's a dwarf hamster. Sophia's face paled. She covered her eyes, peeking through her fingers at the creature. Her legs wobbled, and her teeth chattered. That's still a rodent. Her lifelong fear of mice was the reason she'd gotten a cat in the first place. Weak-kneed, she leaned against the wall, inching toward the door. But just as she was about to make her escape, Ethan appeared in front of her, his smirk widening. Trying to skip out on your debt? No, I'll pay the vet bills, Sophia stammered, her voice shaky. As she spoke, her hand accidentally brushed against Jack's tiny paw. She recoiled, stumbling back, her head hit the door, and she winced, rubbing the sore spot. Ow, let's go, Ethan said, grabbing her by the back of her collar and dragging her along. Where are we going? Sophia panicked, trying to pull away. But his grip was firm, his voice was icy. To settle the bill. Sophia's shoulders slumped. She was in no position to argue. She reached into her pocket, feeling the emptiness, and sighed. Look, I don't have the money right now. Doesn't matter, you're paying, Ethan said flatly. Then, as if remembering something, he added, and you're moving out tonight. Sophia's heart sank as she was dragged up 2 flights of stairs and into an office. Ethan, Jack's recovering well. He was just a little shaken last night, but he'll be fine with some rest, the vet said, scribbling notes before handing Ethan a sheet of paper. Here are the care instructions. Ethan glanced at it, folded it neatly, and tucked it into his pocket. Thanks, Dr. Smith. As he turned to leave, the vet's eyes landed on Sophia. Ethan, is this your girlfriend? First time you've brought someone here. We're not together. We don't know each other. Both Sophia and Ethan spoke at the same time, their voices overlapping as they waved their hands in denial. Dr. Smith, you've got it wrong. The vet chuckled, clearly amused. Ah. Young couples, always bickering. No, really, we're not. Sophia's face turned bright red. Flustered, she bolted out of the office. Ethan, aren't you going after her? Dr. Smith teased, pointing at Sophia's retreating figure. She's going to run off. Ethan rolled his eyes but followed her out. He found Sophia standing in front of Jack's cage, staring at the hamster like it was a wild beast. "Want some?" she asked nervously, holding out a bag of potato chips. She crouched down, trying to sound calm. "If you eat these, we'll call it even for what Lucky did, okay?" Jack had his back to her, his little body wiggling as he busied himself with something in the cage. Sophia sighed. Inching closer, she poked the lock on the cage, her voice trembling. "Hey, just look at me, okay?" Suddenly, Jack turned around. Sophia's heart nearly stopped. The hamster's tiny eyes locked onto hers, and it began to wiggle its nose. Its gaze shifted to the potato chips in her hand. Sophia froze. Jack's eyes sparkled, and he raised his tiny paws, almost like he was begging. Squeak, squeak. The hamster started running around its cage, stopping occasionally to glance at the chips. It was comical, really. Its chubby body made it look like a fluffy ball rolling around, but to Sophia, it was terrifying. She took a step back, her heart racing. Then, the unthinkable happened. The cage door creaked open. Sophia's eyes widened in horror as the little creature hopped out and landed right in her hand. She opened her mouth to scream, but Ethan, who had been watching the whole scene, grabbed her and dragged her out of the hospital before the nurses could intervene. "Ow, ow, ow, let go," Sophia protested. But Ethan didn't release her until they were outside. He pushed her onto a bench under a tree, his expression unreadable. Sophia rubbed her sore arm, glaring at him. "What was that for?" Ethan crossed his arms, looking down at her. "You're welcome. I just saved you from causing a scene in there." Sophia huffed, but deep down, she knew he was right. She glanced back at the hospital, then at Ethan, who was now smirking. "You know," she muttered, "for someone who's supposed to be my landlord, you're really bad at being nice." Ethan shrugged. "And for someone who's supposed to be a responsible pet owner, you're really bad at keeping your cat in check." Sophia groaned, slumping back against the bench. This was going to be a long day. Ethan calmly placed Jack back into his cage and then turned to Sophia, his expression all business. "Jack's vet bill is $1,500, and your cat ruined my shoes last night," he said, pulling out his phone to show her a photo. "These cost me $24,500. Sophia's eyes widened, and she shifted uncomfortably on the bench. "Well, maybe I should just call the police and let them handle this." Ethan shrugged, unfazed. "Go ahead. If the police come, I can also add emotional distress and medical expenses to the list," he said, holding up 2 fingers for emphasis. "Twice, by the way." Sophia's jaw tightened. "You've really got this all figured out." "Ha." The autumn wind blew cold, and Jack, sensing the chill, scurried into Ethan's jacket as soon as the cage was opened. Ethan chuckled softly, gently patting the hamster's head while addressing Sophia. "I already let the phone incident slide because of Olivia. Consider that a friendship discount." Sophia forced a smile, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, how generous of you." She crossed her legs, her posture careless, her hair blowing in the wind. Her features were striking, delicate brows, full lips, and piercing eyes, but her cold demeanor made her seem unapproachable. Her gaze was sharp, almost like she wanted to tear Ethan apart. "All right then," Ethan said, holding out his hand. "Pay up." Sophia dug into her pockets, pulling out a handful of coins and a few crumpled bills that didn't even add up to 100. "I don't have the money right now," she admitted, her voice tinged with desperation. Renting the apartment had drained her meager savings, and the little she had left was practically pocket change. She felt pathetic, and she knew it. She held up 2 fingers in a solemn vow. "I promise I'll pay you back. It might just take some time." Ethan stepped closer, looming over her. He was tall, and his outfit, a navy blue hoodie, beige wide-leg pants, and a pair of worn-out black flip-flops, made him look effortlessly casual. His tone was equally relaxed but cutting. "How exactly do you plan to pay me back? What do you have to offer?" Sophia's eyes widened, and she instinctively crossed her arms over her chest. "Don't even think about it. I'm not paying with that. Ethan burst out laughing, his pale cheeks flushing slightly, His laughter was infectious. But Sophia wasn't amused. "What's so funny?" she snapped. Ethan wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. "I didn't realize you were not only hot-tempered but also incredibly self-absorbed." Sophia bit her tongue, reminding herself that this man was her creditor. She couldn't afford to piss him off. "Fine," Ethan said, crossing his arms. "How do you plan to pay me back?" "I can get a job and," he cut her off. "A job? How long do you think that'll take?" Sophia fell silent, her shoulders slumping. Ethan sighed, as if he'd made a difficult decision. "Look, I need someone to clean and cook at my place. You can stay. But you'll have to take care of the housework." Sophia's eyes lit up. "Do I get weekends off?" Ethan shot her a look. "You're here to pay off a debt, not take a vacation." When they got home, Ethan glanced at his phone, skimming through a long text from Olivia. His eyes lingered on the last line. "Ethan, please take care of Sophia. If you don't give her a hard time, I won't tell Mom about your secret," he sighed. Sometimes it felt like Olivia cared more about Sophia than her own brother. Sophia, meanwhile, was greeted with a locked door. She stood there, hesitant, before finally knocking. "Ethan, are you hungry? I can make something for you." She thought about the contract in her room, which clearly stated, "The debtor is responsible for the creditor's meals, including dietary planning, at a rate of 50 per meal toward the debt." Life was tough. Before she could process it, the door swung open, and Sophia found herself face-to-face with Ethan's icy glare. "What are you doing here?" he snapped, pushing past her. "Move." Sophia blinked, stunned, as Ethan marched into the bathroom. "Fine, I'll eat alone," she muttered. Heading to the kitchen, she made herself a bowl of instant noodles, adding an egg for good measure, but peace was short-lived. Just as she was about to take a bite, Ethan's voice boomed through the house. "Sophia, care to explain this?" She jumped, dropping the egg back into the bowl. Ethan stormed into the room, holding something between his fingers like it was contaminated. "What is this?" he demanded, tossing the item onto the floor. Sophia's heart sank. There, in the middle of the room, was her light pink bra, adorned with tiny red strawberries. The overhead light gave it an almost comical glow. Sophia buried her face in her hands. This was officially the most humiliating moment of her life. Ethan used to think his luck wasn't too bad, but ever since meeting Sophia, it had plummeted into the negatives. He stood in the shower, lathered up with soap, when he realized the water wasn't getting warmer. "Is it broken?" he muttered, tilting his head to inspect the showerhead. Suddenly, the water pressure surged, and Ethan instinctively stepped back, but his foot caught on something, sending him crashing to the floor. His limbs flailed awkwardly, and he landed in a heap, looking more like a frog than a human. But what truly horrified him was the fabric now draped over his face. He yanked it off, freezing when he realized what it was. It was a bra. A pink bra with little red strawberries. The shampoo bottle clattered to the floor, snapping Ethan out of his shock. He stared at the offending garment in his hand, his face burning, and quickly tossed it aside like it was on fire. "Sophia," he roared, storming out of the bathroom, dripping wet and furious. "Care to explain this?" Sophia, who had been peacefully eating her instant noodles, jumped at his sudden outburst. Her chopstick slipped, and the perfectly fried egg she'd been savoring tumbled to the floor. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice shaky. Ethan kicked the bra toward her, his expression icy. "What's wrong? This is what's wrong. How did your underwear end up in my bathroom?" Sophia's face turned crimson as she stared at the bra now lying at her feet. She scrambled to pick it up, hiding it behind her back as she stammered. Didn't mean to. I must have forgotten it." "Forgot?" Ethan repeated, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "You forgot you weren't in your own house." Sophia bit her lip, clutching the bra tightly. "I'm sorry. Okay, it was an accident." Ethan ran a hand through his wet hair, exasperated. "You know what? I should have never let you move in. This is ridiculous." Sophia's heart sank. She reached out to grab his arm, trying to explain. "Ethan, wait, but as she did, the towel around Ethan's waist slipped and fell to the floor. Time seemed to freeze. Sophia's eyes widened as she took in the sight before her. Ethan's pale skin glistened under the light, his toned torso and narrow waist on full display. Her face turned an even deeper shade of red, and she quickly averted her gaze. "Ah," she stammered, her hand still hovering in the air. Ethan's face was a mix of shock and embarrassment. He snatched the towel off the floor and wrapped it around himself again, his ears turning pink. "Don't move," he said through gritted teeth. Sophia nodded frantically, her hand finally dropping to her side. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to," but Ethan was already retreating to his room. Slamming the door behind him, Sophia slumped to the floor, burying her face in her hands. The bra she'd been clutching was now a crumpled mess in her lap. She groaned, wondering how things had spiraled so out of control. After a few minutes, she gathered the courage to knock on Ethan's door. "Ethan, I'm really sorry about earlier. It was an accident." There was no response. She sighed, leaning against the door. "I'll let you cool off. Good night." Inside his room, Ethan had his ear pressed to the door, listening as Sophia's footsteps faded away. He flopped onto his bed, burying his face in his pillow and letting out a muffled scream. As a responsible debtor, Sophia woke up early the next morning for the first time. She cleaned the house and even prepared breakfast for Ethan. When Ethan stepped out of the bathroom, he nearly collided with her in the hallway. "What are you up to now?" he asked, eyeing her suspiciously. "Causing more trouble." Sophia scratched her head, looking a little embarrassed. "I made breakfast. Come eat after you wash up." Ethan glanced at the table, his brow furrowing at the sight of the food. A bowl of something that looked neither like porridge nor rice sat in the center, its color unappetizing. Next to it were a few plates of pickled vegetables, likely bought from the store downstairs. Those were probably the most edible items on the table. "Did you poison this?" Ethan asked, his tone half joking, half serious. Sophia handed him a pair of chopsticks, but Ethan waved them away. "I'll pass. You eat it." Sophia's polite demeanor lasted all of 1 minute before she snapped. She untied her apron and tossed it aside. "Fine. More for me." She sat down and took a bite of the charred egg, only to immediately regret it. The bittersweet taste hit her tongue, and she realized she'd accidentally used sugar instead of salt. Delicious," she lied, forcing herself to swallow the bite. Ethan, standing nearby, raised an eyebrow. "Really? Then eat up." He piled more of the questionable food onto her plate, clearly enjoying her discomfort. Sophia glared at him, shoveling the food into her mouth to get it over with. Her ears turned pink as she quickly finished and retreated to the kitchen to wash the dishes. Later that evening, after a day of rain, the sky was painted with hues of red and orange as the sun set. A cool breeze swept through the air, and the fading light cast a serene glow over the apartment. "Open the door." Ethan's voice echoed through the house. Sophia, who had been folding laundry, sighed and set the clothes aside. Lucky, who had been extra clingy since the incident, rubbed against her legs, meowing softly. Coming. Coming," Sophia called. Hurrying to the door, Ethan stood there, towering over her even in his worn-out flip-flops. His hair was disheveled, and he looked like he'd just woken up. His eyes were still half-closed, and his voice was groggy but irritable. "I'm hungry. Make me something to eat." Sophia tilted her head. "What do you want?" "Noodles," Ethan said, leaning against the wall. "And add the bacon from the fridge." Sophia nodded and headed to the kitchen to search for the bacon. Meanwhile, Lucky jumped down from her arms and padded over to Ethan. "Hey, stay back," Ethan said nervously, his fear of cats kicking in. But before he could react, Lucky leaped into his arms. Ethan froze, his eyes wide. "Get it off me, now." Lucky, oblivious to his fear, snuggled closer, purring softly. "Sophia," Ethan called, his voice strained. "Get your cat." Sophia, still searching the fridge, called back. "I can't find the bacon. Are you sure it's in here?" "It's in there. Keep looking," Ethan said, trying to gently push Lucky away without making sudden movements. Sophia sighed, staring at the nearly empty fridge. "Ethan, there's no bacon. Did you eat it?" Lucky buried his face in Ethan's shirt, as if trying to hide Sophia glanced over and raised an eyebrow. Or did someone else get to it first? Then she forced an awkward smile. Can we just pretend I don't know this cat? Miss, that'll be $565. Cash or scan? The cashier asked cheerfully. Sophia's eyes widened. $565. For this little. She picked up each item, double-checking the prices. It's the right amount, Ethan said, stepping forward. As he leaned down to bag the items, his collar shifted slightly, revealing a glimpse of his well-defined collarbone. Sophia quickly looked away, her cheeks heating up. Oh, she muttered. Oh, what? Ethan grabbed the back of her collar, pulling her upright. He pointed at the bags. Stop dawdling and pay. Sophia fumbled in her pockets, her head hanging low. Can I pay at the end of the month? She had just found a job, and all her money had gone into rent. Her pockets were literally empty. This is all I have, she said, showing him the few coins in her palm. To prove her sincerity, she grabbed the receipt and scribbled an IOU on the back, handing it to him. Here. The cashier, a young woman with short hair and bangs, smiled sweetly. So, who's paying? I'll do it, Ethan sighed, pulling out his phone to scan the payment. Once the transaction was complete, he shoved the bags at Sophia. I paid. You carry. He strode out of the store without looking back. The cashier giggled, her cheeks pink. Your boyfriend is so handsome. We're not, Sophia started, but Ethan's voice cut her off. Are you coming or not? He barked from the doorway. His expression dark. Sophia gave the cashier an awkward smile and hurried after him. The moon hung high in the sky, casting long shadows on the ground. Ethan walked a few steps ahead, while Sophia trailed behind, occasionally stepping on his shadow. Are you hungry? She asked, struggling with the heavy bags. No. His stomach growled loudly, betraying him. Ethan cleared his throat, quickly changing the subject. The moon's really round tonight. Sophia chuckled, glancing at the bags. Yeah, and it's a perfect night for dinner. Ethan got sick. The reason? Sophia's cooking. Sophia never expected that adding extra eggs to the dish would nearly cost him his life. My brother's always been allergic to eggs, Olivia explained, peeking through the hospital room window. He can't have even a trace of it. Sophia's face was pale, her hands still trembling. I didn't know. Olivia patted her shoulder, then squeezed her hand reassuringly. It's okay, Sophia. Go in and see him. Sophia nodded. But her legs felt like lead as she pushed the door open. Ethan's voice came from inside before she could speak. Come in. Sophia stepped inside, her face filled with guilt. She placed a bag of fruit on the bedside table. Let me peel an apple for you. Ethan's expression shifted instantly. No, thanks. His lips were pale, and his eyes were tired. He rubbed his throat, his voice hoarse. Your bad luck. It wasn't an exaggeration. Since meeting her, he'd been beaten, scared, and now hospitalized. At this rate, he'd be dead in 2 days. Ethan sighed. I don't expect anything from you anymore. Just stay away from me. That was all he asked, just let him live. Sophia's guilt deepened. She'd spent the entire night reflecting on her mistakes. Okay, I'll let you rest. I won't bother you. But that night, she was back, bringing him water, helping him change, and staying by his side. For a whole month, she balanced work during the day and took care of him during meals and evenings. Ethan grumbled but eventually accepted her help. Much to Olivia's amusement, Olivia teased. Ethan's all bark and no bite. Sophia, don't let his grumpy face fool you. He's probably loving the attention. The grumpy Ethan immediately protested. She's just paying off her debt, he said, pointing at the apple. Peel it. Sophia quickly stepped forward. Here, have an orange first. I'll peel the apple in a second. Olivia rolled her eyes. Sure, as if you're not enjoying this. Didn't the doctor say you were fully recovered 2 weeks ago? Ethan was finally discharged on a Monday. He'd come to the hospital with just himself but left with 2 large bags of belongings. Sophia brought a suitcase to make it easier to carry. She grabbed both handles. But Ethan took them from her. I'll do it. Sophia worried about his health and protested. No, it's fine. I can carry them. You just got out, before she could finish. Ethan's hand wrapped around hers. Warm and firm. Sophia's words died in her throat. Her ears turning red. He led the way. And she finally had a chance to really look at him. He wore a blue and white shirt over a white t-shirt. Looking effortlessly handsome, Sophia sighed inwardly. God really blessed him with such good looks. Driver. To Garden Estates. Ethan said as they got into the taxi. The drive was bumpy. The road rough and uneven. It wasn't until 7 p.m. that they finally arrived at their destination. The sky was ablaze with hues of red and orange. The fiery sunset blending into the deep indigo of the night as the moon began to rise. As they approached the door, Sophia noticed a girl crouched on the ground. She looked about 19, her hair styled in perfect curls, and her large eyes filled with tears. She was crying so hard that it took her a moment to notice them. Ethan, why are you ignoring me? She sobbed. Standing up, she reached out to grab his arm, but he stepped back, avoiding her touch. Her tears fell even harder. Ethan, please. I have a girlfriend now, Ethan said matter-of-factly, taking Sophia's hand in his. He set down the luggage and wrapped his arm around her slender waist. Sophia stiffened, her mind racing. Ethan's voice was calm but firm. You see, my heart belongs to someone else. Go home and stop wasting your time. The girl burst into tears and ran off. Sophia stood there, stunned, long after the girl had disappeared. Ethan. That was so harsh. You made her cry, Sophia said, sighing. It was only then that she realized their hands were still intertwined, their fingers tightly laced together. I told her the truth. I didn't lie, Ethan said. Ha, I just said what was in my heart. The warmth of his hand sent a tingling sensation through her, making her heart flutter. It was strange, wasn't it? Just a month ago, they were at each other's throats. And now here he was, holding her hand and saying, Sophia. Let's be together. Sophia was in a daze, so much so that she barely registered their first kiss or the fact that they were now officially a couple. His lips brushed hers softly. And Sophia, inexperienced, kept her eyes wide open, her hands clenched into fists, her palms sweaty. Close your eyes, Ethan whispered, kissing the tip of her red ear. Seeing how nervous she was, he couldn't help but laugh. He ruffled her hair affectionately, his voice gentle. All right. No more kissing. Let's go back. Sophia felt a strange emptiness when he said that. She nodded quietly. Ethan smiled, leaning down to look into her eyes. Her lips were red, her cheeks flushed. He couldn't resist pinching her soft cheek. So cute. Sophia's face turned even redder. Ethan bent down, placing her hands around his neck, and hoisted her up effortlessly. Sophia buried her face in his shirt, embarrassed. Ethan, isn't this too soon? We just started dating. This helps build intimacy, Ethan said. But, you're paying off your debt. Ethan reminded her. Even though you're the landlord's wife now, you still owe me. Ethan carried her inside, kissing her cheek. Get some sleep. It's late. After Ethan left, Sophia lay in bed, staring at the dark ceiling. It all felt surreal. Slowly, her eyelids grew heavy, and she drifted into a strange dream. In it, Ethan was holding her, kissing her, and then, they tumbled onto the bed. The next morning, Sophia woke up to her alarm at 11 a.m. She rushed to the bathroom to get ready. When she burst into the bathroom, she froze. Ethan was standing there, wearing nothing but his underwear, low-rise underwear. He had just brushed his teeth, and a bit of toothpaste foam lingered at the corner of his mouth. He looked at her, surprised. You're up. Sophia's face turned bright red. If you need to wash up, go ahead, Ethan said. Stepping aside, Sophia kept her eyes down, unable to look at him without thinking about her dream from the night before. She picked up her toothbrush and noticed he wasn't leaving. What are you doing? Ethan pointed to the shower. I'm going to take a bath. The next morning, Sophia woke up before Ethan. She carefully turned to look at him, her fingers gently tracing the bridge of his nose. It was small, with a slightly red tip, giving him a harmless, almost boyish look. Ethan, she whispered when he didn't respond. She leaned in and kissed his cheek. Suddenly, the world spun, and she found herself pinned beneath him. The blanket fell to the floor. "You're such a jerk," Sophia muttered, her face burning as she pressed her hands against his chest. His skin was warm, almost scorching, and she felt her cheeks heat up even more. "Get off me. I'm hot." Sophia felt like she couldn't breathe. Ethan laughed, holding her tighter. His eyes sparkled as he looked down at her flustered face. "Ethan, you better back off. Don't think just because you're stronger than me." Her words were cut off as he kissed her. When he finally pulled away, he frowned. "What were you saying?" "I said don't think just because." He kissed her again. His hand began to slide down her smooth skin, and Sophia panicked, quickly surrendering. "I'm sorry. Are you hungry?" Ethan asked, holding her close, his chin resting on her head as he gently swayed. "No." Her stomach growled loudly. Betraying her, Ethan kissed her forehead and got out of bed to get dressed. "You go wash up. I'll be back soon." "Okay," Sophia said, burying her face in the blanket. She was mortified. Stupid, traitorous stomach. She smacked it in frustration, instantly regretting it as pain shot through her. Fate works in mysterious ways. Sophia had managed to escape the arranged marriage set by her family, but she hadn't escaped her fiancé. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Sophia was startled when she saw her mother standing at the door 10 minutes after Ethan had left. She quickly tried to close the door. "Don't even think about it. I'm not going back to get married. You're living here." Her mother, scarlet green, was the picture of elegance, even in her memories. Sophia remembered her mother always having her hair perfectly styled, no matter the occasion. Scarlet's face was well maintained, and she stood with her legs slightly apart, her hands folded gracefully over her thighs. Her eyes scanned the room, her brow furrowing slightly. "Come home." "I'm not going back," Sophia said firmly, crossing her legs. The two short flip-flops on her feet swung back and forth. "I'm not marrying him. Besides, we don't even know each other. What's the point of money?" She had heard all about her fiancé, a greasy, middle-aged man with a terrible reputation. His escapades were the talk of the town. Scarlet sighed, reaching out to take her daughter's hand. "We're not forcing you to marry him. Why did you have to run away?" Looking at her daughter, who had been pampered since childhood, Scarlet couldn't help but tear up. Sophia's hands were rough now, and she had lost weight. It broke her heart to see her like this. Seeing her mother cry, Sophia softened. She hugged her tightly. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please don't cry. Your father and I aren't forcing you to marry," Scarlet said, patting her daughter's back. "Just find someone you love." Sophia. The door opened. Ethan stood there, drenched from the rain outside. His jacket was wrapped tightly around the breakfast he had bought, keeping it warm and dry. He held out the still warm breakfast, though he looked like a drowned rat. "I got muffins and oatmeal." The two women in the room turned to look at him, and Ethan froze. "Ah, breakfast." Scarlet's eyes widened in surprise. "Who is he?" Sophia's face turned red. "Mom, this is my boyfriend. I was just about to explain." "Mr. Harper." Scarlet's surprise quickly turned to delight. She smiled, taking her daughter's hand and nodding in approval. "So this is why you refused the Harper family's proposal. You two plan to be together here. That's wonderful. Let's arrange the wedding as soon as possible." Sophia and Ethan exchanged a look, both silent. Fate truly is strange. The right person will appear in your life in unexpected ways, eventually taking root in your heart forever.